You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today we'll be talking about the use of the law of attraction to make things happen in your life. If you know you can, then you can. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." That's the key to unlock the door to freedom and empowerment, which enables us more happiness and therefore better health. The problem is that most people don't use this tool because they were never taught that they have the innate power. And if they believe only in limitations, that's what they tend to attract. So how can we unlearn that which is not helpful? My special guest today is JJ Flizanes, an empowerment strategist and the creator of the Empowering Minds Network. Through a series of clarifying exercises, she is able to teach the principles of the law of attraction and how it can work in our lives to help our heartfelt dreams come true. Well, I'm sure everyone will be keen to know how to do that because, we all want to be more powerful in our lives. I think it's in our nature to feel free and to feel that we are the ones in charge and that we're not prisoners of other circumstances or other people or, whatever oppressions and circumstances may be out there. There is a way to fly above it and avoid the bad stuff. But we need to learn those strategies. And so my first question, and thank you for coming aboard, JJ. It's really lovely to have you here to talk about this.
Thanks, Sandy, for having me.
You're welcome. My first question about it is, because we can both attract positive and negative circumstances, according to this law, how does this principle actually work in relation to how we think? How do we think into reality?
Well, the quote that you said and repeated from Napoleon Hill is where we'll start. If you manifest what you believe and you manifest what you are. So this isn't a belief system. This is not a religion. This is science. And I could break down, it's quantum physics, and I could break it down into cell membranes and receptors and the whole 9 yards and the nucleus of the cell and your DNA. I could break all of this down into a science to show you that this is physics. But we're not going to do that. Just trust me when I tell you that it's physics and it's quantum mechanics. But what you believe is what you'll achieve. And so we're manifesting all day long, every day. It never turns off because there's a picture in your mind of what you believe and on all different subjects, from positive beliefs to negative beliefs. And in your subconscious, which is most of your physical body, we have cells that are looking for signals all day long it's called our environment, right? And our body responds and our chemistry responds to our environment. So think of when someone says they're stressed. There is anything physically actually happening? No, it's mostly mental. They're interpreting things that is causing their environment to feel a certain way and send certain chemicals to the body in order to produce, in the case of stress, cortisol, histamine, cytokines, all kinds of different negative hormones and chemicals into the body. If you think of something negative, like something scary, something maybe like you're on the edge of a cliff, or you have some negative food in front of you, or there's some dead body of an animal or something in front of you that is you don't want it. What is the first thing you think your body's going to do? It's going to pull away from that thing. We have a natural innate instinct to stay safe, and we move towards positive things and we move away from negative things. And that is something you don't have to think about. You don't have to say, look at that thing. How do I feel about it? The body just knows that it feels scary. It feels unsafe. It feels unpleasant. It feels not positive. And so the body will literally pull back. We gasp and we go, and we pull back away from things. That is a chemical response to what we're observing and to a feeling. And the body responds in kind by creating similar chemicals to produce the response that we need. So when it comes to, we're manifesting all day long, every day, because we hold pictures in our minds. So the first thing to do, if you want to change anything that you're manifesting, because you're responsible for the negative as well as the positive, by the way, in terms of the things that come to you, the things that you're aware of, because I like to give the example of a building. Let's say it's a 10-story building and you are on the 5th story, Sandy, and I'm on the 1st floor. Can you see what's happening with me on the 1st floor? You can't, because you're on the 5th floor. There are walls, there are ceilings, there are desks, there are people, there are stairs, there's concrete, there's brick, there's all kinds of materials. And however many feet down I am below you, you don't know what's happening on the 1st floor, just like I don't know what's happening on the 5th floor, and each floor represents a vibration or a frequency. Think about your TV. You have a program on the TV that's positive, that's happy, that's funny, it's a comedy. And there's also a program that's negative. There's one that's scary and it's violent. And you get to turn the dial or change the frequency code in order to get the TV program you want on your TV. Yes. But that doesn't mean that other one doesn't exist. There's lots of different programs. There's lots of different frequencies. There's lots of realities that exist. They actually all exist.
Depends
but the
what
one
we
that
tune into.
It's what you're tuning into. So the bad stuff is still there. The good stuff is still there. What you're experiencing is whatever you're tuned to.
So let's take, for example, if you are an avid watcher of the mainstream bad TV news and all the stuff going on, and that's all your mind takes in, it gives you the impression that's all there is that's out there, and the world is a bad place and it's all going south. But you can do the opposite. You can be, I guess it's about like avoiding sugar and junk food. You can be a little bit more disciplined with what your mind takes in as a form of nutrition, which is, ideas about reality and what's out there, and overcome that, the tendency to move towards the negative, which is really unnatural, according to what you're saying. It goes against our grain. We have to be trained to do that. So we naturally are here to be hopeful as our innate human minds will naturally be, but over time we learn, we get trained, we get sucked into the belief that everything's bad and we have no power. Sometimes, that's dominant in people.
And if we're being observant and curious and we question things a little bit, we all learn that most of the TV news that you see is paid for advertising by companies. So it's actually not real news. It's literally been positioned for you to be brainwashed. It's hypnosis of kinds. And it's prevalent because if you believe that you're unsafe in the world, which a lot of people want you to believe that you're unsafe in the world because they can sell you something.
Yes.
They can sell you something to protect your immunity. They'll sell you something to, right? And there's, again, I'm not saying that there isn't something to be said about being careful or cautious to a degree. Like I have locks on my doors. Okay. And I don't always leave my doors unlocked, but there are times I leave.
We have insurance policies, not that we expect a fire, but just in case.
Right. We have them, but it's what you're focused on.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear something about the news or politics, understand what I think is the truth about it, and not go on a rampage of negativity or despair or fear, because there's a practice, belief, and an understanding from my point of view and life experience and studies that I am safe, that I'm safe in the world, and none of this matters anyway. It's all an illusion. There's never been a situation in my life to date. There's never been any candidacy, presidency, circumstance really that has changed the way I live or how I manifest. Okay. Really, it's even the negative ones have resulted in very positive experiences. So it's because we have really two ways of looking at life. The first way is that you're a victim and that things just happen and you have no control over them. And if that is how you think of life, that's a choice. Although you don't know that it's a choice. You've just been taught that that's what it is, but that's not what it is. But if you stay there, it's a choice. Or you take responsibility for everything, even the things you don't think you really need to be taking responsibility for. And the reason is psychologically, when you're a victim, you have no power. And when you're in a place of no power because you have no control or influence over what happens or comes to you or what your experiences are, you're always powerless. So it doesn't feel good. Let's say it's even true, which it's not. But if it was true, it doesn't make you feel good. So are you going to go around thinking that this belief that I have, which doesn't make me feel good, wow, is that really serving me? Am I enjoying my life? I'm not. The other choice is to do the opposite and take responsibility for everything you can in a non-judgmental, non-shaming, non-blaming, not guilt-tripping way, that there's something about you. Don't make it mean that you're bad or unworthy or stupid, or you've been put in the wrong family, or you married the wrong person. This is not a blame game. This is from a curiosity observer perspective of, oh my God, if I've created this and I have the power to change it, I think that's great news. I just have to learn how to do it. So it's a much better feeling. It empowers you, and you always have choice, which feels so much better than not having choice.
Yes, but it requires some bravery, because it's always easier to do what you're told. You know, if there's a tyrant, they can use fear. And if you've been in a situation which is habit forming, it's like an addiction in a way, that you're addicted to being the victim because it feels like a safe space and you're not taking responsibility. And so to step outside that box, you need to be brave to break away and to recapture your own power and to do what you need to do for your life. And you mentioned before brainwashing, and the subconscious. So brainwashing works by teaching the subconscious to believe something is real, which is not real. Is that correct?
So in your brain, you have four different, well, more than four, but the main four brain waves are alpha, delta, theta, and I'm sorry, that's the order. The bottom is delta, theta, alpha, beta. Not that order, alpha's first, then beta. But so in the theta state, that's your hypnosis state. And when you're in the womb, before 3 months before you're born and up to 7 years, you're in a theta state. So your whole first 7 years of childhood and a little bit extra, the world is programming you. Your parents are programming
you. You're a sponge.
You're
You're
a
sucking
sponge.
everything up.
Yes. And you're recording things. You're not conscious and you're not deciding. You're not interpreting.
Mm-hmm.
You're interpreting, but from a place of recording things as fact, not as from the observer with critical thinking to be able to give a comparison.
Yeah, a child can't discern the difference between what's real and what's not real. And it's the same with the subconscious, even in adults, isn't it? If we are not mindful and conscious about how we think and what we do, if we go on autopilot, the subconscious can just be led with whatever messages are coming in from the outside without editing. Is that right?
Well, I think even with mindfulness, so I've created a couple different programs, and I'm just going to list the names of them for a very specific reason. One is called the Roadmap to Emotional Healing, and another is called Rewiring Your Core Wound Patterns. In manifestation, the reason why I've created this is because when I started teaching law of attraction, some people think that it's oversimplified, even though it's not simple at all. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's simple, but it's not easy. When you understand the nuances, when you understand frequency and vibration, which most people don't, they hear that and they don't understand how it plays out in their life until you have an experience. And my experience came with a relationship where the brother of the guy I was with, we were at the beach, and his best friend was there with two girls he had brought from Colorado, and they were kind of frolicking in the sand. And the three of us were watching this scene, and no attachment. I had no attachment, no judgment. I wasn't on my phone. I have a flip phone, by the way, but I didn't even have my iPad at the time. And even if I did, I didn't have Wi-Fi at the time. So there was nothing to distract me. I was literally present watching this thing happen, these frolicking happening in the sand. And the three of us were kind of just watching. On the drive home, he said to me, "Did you see how those girls were trying to bait you?" And I saw how convicted he was that he saw that. And I said, "No." And I didn't automatically think, "You're crazy, that didn't happen." I thought, "I bet you it did happen," but I wasn't in that frequency. So I did not experience what he experienced watching the same thing. And that's because we're on two different frequencies. And when you can understand that two people can interpret things very differently, reaction to something, opinion to something, even what you see, like, like visually, like what you're seeing, like when someone loses their keys, if you think you've lost your keys and that's what's playing in your mind, you're not going to find your keys, because what you have vibrating right now is I've lost my keys, not I found my keys, I know where they are. So these pictures in our mind help us to help our subconscious to help make and bring into action whatever is real for us. So you can be in a mindful state and still have a core wound pattern that you don't understand is there, stop you from manifesting what you want, because you don't understand or know what the belief is that's creating the block.
Which is how you're looking at something. Can we call it like a lens or a filter that we look through and that changes the reality?
Yes. And the belief underneath it, though, colors, because if we're just going straight frequency, is a curiosity and no judgment and no story. When it comes to manifestation and people want things that they don't have. So most of us are good at manifesting some things. And it's going to be for some people different. Health may be one of them. Money may be that. Relationships. But whatever it isn't for you, it's that one area where for some reason you did not receive the program, the download, the belief system from your caregivers, from your environment, from your grandparents, inherited emotional DNA, what have you. That's a through line of a belief system that, again, you may not even know what it is because it was programmed in you before you were 7. So that's why I'm saying, yes, you can be mindful, but still, even super mindful people have core wounds they don't know are running their show. It's the foundation. It's like, are you operating on Apple or a Mac? Are you running Windows, or are you on Firefox or Chrome? These are different programs. And until you understand the programs, you may not be able to break through the blocks. You can still do all the work, be mindful, raise your frequency, change the picture in your mind. But the subconscious, which is 80 to 85, 80 to 90 actually % of your brain, is going to overrule the 5% of those wishes and desires and manifesting desires that you have, because it's the program. It just overrules it. So now that doesn't mean you still can't change, because through mindfulness, through deliberate creation and focus and practice and habit, have absolutely been able to manifest more and more and more. But there comes a time where you're just on this pattern and you don't know why you can't break through it. And that's where things like core wounds and understanding what your beliefs are. Most people don't know what they believe.
And those seeds are often planted when we're children. As you mentioned before, that's when the subconscious is taking in all the information about what's real and what's this world all about that I'm existing in. And if that child is in a household and there's poverty and hardship, and the parents are talking to one another saying how hard it is to live in this world, and we can't make any money and we'll never be rich, and we'll always have, this bad situation, that imprints on the child's subconscious. So even though that child may grow into an adult and with a good education and get a good job, and so one would think, they have all the resources available to be very successful and manifest their dreams, something always holds them back. Something always sabotages or blocks them from achieving that goal. So how do you break a cycle that started such a long time ago in people's lives? How do they break free of that old invisible viral program?
Well, there's a lot of different methods out there, and I recommend people to try whatever speaks to you, or be in alignment with receiving an intuitive hit about a program or a teacher or a method or something that is in alignment with what you believe or what you're ready for or what you can get behind. So, there's things like hypnosis and binaural beats. And again, mindfulness and habit will change your subconscious mind. I don't know that they'll change the belief completely, because if you don't know what the belief is, you don't know how to change it. So to me, there is value in understanding what your core wound patterns are, because those are going to be the strongest influencers of your interpretations and of your beliefs. I was working with someone yesterday, new client, who has a lot of trauma, and she is afraid of going to bed by herself in the dark. And she's had some really bad trauma, and she's got PTSD and anxiety and depression and the whole 9 yards. And while there are other methodologies that I want to employ with her, the first where I'm starting with her is actually a law of attraction tool, because before she goes to bed at night, again, we work in pictures, and the brain and the body responds to what we're thinking about. So if she has in her mind that terrible things happen at night in the dark by herself, then in order to keep herself safe, she's going to keep lighting that picture up in order to do the things she thinks, quote unquote, keeps her safe. But it also keeps her in the frequency of fear and bad things happening. So I asked her to write out in detail for me, what does she want to have happen? We know what has happened. And that's the picture she literally keeps replaying. And if you can think of it like going to the gym and doing strength training, and you only focus on your biceps, then you're only going to get stronger biceps. Like, you're not going to get better triceps or shoulders or your glutes or your abs or your legs. Nothing else will build because you're only giving attention to the biceps. Well, that's going to cause an imbalance in that arm muscle on your shoulder joint. So what do you want? And so I'm having her write out for me a very detailed picture of how she wants to feel. What would it look like? What it would feel like? All the details that go into that, because we have to have a different picture. And I asked her to spend, well, she didn't send it to me yet, but when she sends it, I'm going to ask her to spend up to 10, 15 minutes using a visualization process around vision boards to embody energetically that picture, and to practice that every day until more and more we can start to create new neural pathways of at least even if the picture still is like 70% or 50% of what she's thinking about, I want to decrease it slowly over time so her body can relax, so her nervous system can calm down.
Yeah.
There are other methodologies that I use that are faster, but she doesn't live near me, and having her come here right now is not an option. Tapping is another one. Emotional freedom technique. Tapping can be very effective for things. I'm a big fan of psychedelics, both microdosing as well as doing a full-on journey.
So it gets rid of the inhibitions, doesn't it? It opens up other lenses that are covered up.
Well, it doesn't necessarily get rid of inhibitions depending on what you're using. So some of the psychedelics are serotonin boosters, and they open up your heart chakra and you feel love. Some of the psychedelics, like some mushrooms, are a deeper dive. And not all mushrooms are the same, but the kind that I've been using are ones that make you go inside. And when you go inside, you're facing some of the fears that have blocked you. You're facing some of the things. And so maybe at first it's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but these are things that have been holding you back. And we can't run from fear for it to go away. We have to face fear. We have to transmute it. It's energy that's been stagnant, and people think they're just going to go around it, but it means it's still there.
You have to somehow challenge yourself in little increments to get used to something, and then realize, oh, that's not so bad. So using the psychedelics, it is, of course, a medicine, and it's recommended to do that with a qualified practitioner so that you're in a safe space, and you can be guided appropriately to see and to realize what's important for your personal development. And I just wanted to add something that you said before about the visuals. Decades ago, there was a big wave of enthusiasm for creating visuals about what you wanted to achieve. So let's say you wanted to buy a really nice big house in a nice area, but your finances were nowhere near there, and it seems like a pie in the sky kind of a dream, like way out of your reach at the time. So the personal development teachings at the time were not to criticize or edit anything, not to say can't, but to just focus on that picture every day and let it imprint on that subconscious. And then over time, things change. So that's a little bit like what you were saying about using the visuals, because we're so strong visually in the brain, aren't we? It's very primitive.
And the picture, which is easy to understand because it's so quick, our brain can put a picture together very quickly, but the power isn't in the picture. The power is in the emotion around the picture. So if you don't believe you can manifest it and you have doubt, you won't.
Right.
So it's about tapping into and learning how to believe it, whether it be, and so some people can stretch and believe it because they're focused on the emotion and they just like, oh, I feel so free. I feel so I feel so at ease. I feel peace. I feel right. And if you can get into the emotion, that's where the power is. That's what law of attraction, that's the frequency. The picture, if it doesn't stimulate emotion, is kind of, I mean, it can be valuable, but it won't be powerful.
Yep. And the other thing is the power of the word. So when you mentioned writing your goals and dreams down, the physical action of writing actually writes it into the brain. I found that when I was studying at university, when I hand wrote notes in the lectures, I retained the information much better. So there's also affirmations. So there's the auditory left brain word kind of power from the repetition of the words to reprogram or retrain. Is that how you would describe it?
Again, provided that it is in alignment with what you believe or want, and there's no blocks or resistance to it, affirmations are very powerful. But affirmations will not be powerful if you're saying them and you actually don't. Your subconscious is like, no, I don't believe that, because your subconscious is going to prove you right. So if your picture in your mind says, no, I can't make $1 million next year, but I'm going to affirm it, I'm going to say, I made $1 million next year. And your brain's going, no, I don't believe that. Then it's going to prove to you that it can't, because you don't believe it. So we really want to get to changing the beliefs and finding ways.
And the feelings.
And the feelings, right? We want to activate more positive feelings. We want to find things, and again, we can be really general. I do a 14-day manifestation challenge. I do them several times a year. The next one's coming up in November. In that challenge, and it used to be 30 days when I first started my podcast, and that got to be a little bit too long, but they're very powerful because you keep people accountable for doing the activities, for feeling the feelings, for doing an appreciation journal every morning or every night. And all you're doing is listing things, or a rampage of appreciation, which is going on for about 2 to 3 minutes nonstop to a partner out loud. You're hearing yourself say it, you're thinking about it, and you're saying it. And you're putting it out into the universe, and someone else is witnessing you, but you're just saying what you appreciate. Like, I appreciate we're having this conversation. I'm glad that I can connect with you in Australia, and I'm in California, and it's not too late and it's not too early, and it's a perfect time. What a great thing for us to be able to do together and to reach many people. And you just do that for a while. But
appreciation,
anyway,
appreciation for me equates to an expression of love.
Mm-hmm.
I love this, and and so if you change the feeling to something people love to do in connection with the goal, the picture or the words or the affirmation, this is fun, I love to do this. Or let's say they wanted to lose a lot of weight, and they put a picture up of themselves when they were 20 years younger on the wall. And they remembered how great they felt and how happy they were at that time, and even play the music that they love to listen to at that time. That helps to change the habits of the subconscious, because we can revert back to those good times and recreate them in the present.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Changing your habits will help. And for everyone, they're going to respond differently to all these different exercises. So it's really great to start with what calls to you, what feels easy, what feels hopeful, what feels fun and exciting to start with, and then see where you go from there. And it doesn't mean that all the things need to be fun and exciting, because in the rewiring programs, the point of the program is to be held accountable to stretch. It's to go to the gym and push a little harder, but we're doing it with the brain and with our habits.
Yes, it is like gym, isn't it? It's a real mental and emotional gym. And we have to be brave, and we have to have the intention to, get real and be serious about it, and know that we can change. It's just an exercise to go through. I just have to go to this gym and do these exercises, and then I'm going to achieve it. And that's very empowering, isn't it? Just changing the thought and the belief that it can be done, I guess, is the crux of the issue, isn't it?
Well, I would like to offer another word. You have said brave, and it doesn't resonate with me because for this reason. To me, I hear, because
Face your fear. I meant face the fear,
right,
and
well,
walk
right,
through it.
Because some people will say, well, I'm not brave, so I'm not going to do that. Right. That's what I hear. Not me. I'm brave. I'm very courageous. I am fearless, but I can hear other people go, but I'm not brave. I've never been brave, so I can't do this. What I would say, it needs to be in place in order for you to make these changes or to manifest more of what you want in your life, is you have to care about how you feel. That has to be the number one most important thing for you. is how do I feel? If you do not care that you are depressed, then like if it bothers you that you're depressed and you would like to feel better and you're committed to feeling better, then you can do this.
Yes. Yeah, so I think everyone to some extent feels fear, and it's part of our autonomic system to protect us from dangerous things. But we need to be able to assess whether the fear is well-founded, and that we can get through it, overcome it, and have it not affect us. So that's the hurdle to fly over. And it's great that you can be a trainer of people to help them become these athletes at that mind gym and that emotional gym. So as we're coming to a close, can you tell people where to find you or what they can read to know more about how this process works and perhaps connect with you as well?
Sure. Well, I have a podcast. I have actually a whole network, like 16 shows, but my most flagship show is called Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. So if you like to listen to podcasts, go to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. You have plenty of things to catch up on. You'll never catch up because there's a lot of content out there, but I've had people tell me their whole lives have changed just from listening to the show. I've never met them. They've never joined anything. They've never shown up anywhere. So there's plenty of tools and content that could be life-changing on the show. Everything exists at jjflizanes.com. That's my website, jjflizanes.com. At the top, there's a little sort of rotating bar that says like the most upcoming things. And like I mentioned, depending on when this gets published, I do have a 14-day manifestation challenge happening in November. It is free. And the link will be on the website. You can look around and it'll be there for you.
I just want to add one more little thing just right at the end about my business, Elektra Magnesium. A lot of people, if they've been under stress a long time, dealing with these kind of issues and not feeling they're getting over the line, they tend to get depleted in energy, and digestion doesn't work very well. So we have transdermal magnesium that helps people feel calm and relaxed. It's very healthy. There's no drugs. It's just a natural way the body can absorb through the skin instead of the digestive system. And this may help people just relax into the exercises and the things that need to happen in that progression towards taking control of your life and getting things done that you want to get done and achieving your dreams. So it's a whole lifestyle approach, isn't it? You can't just work on one area. We're a whole machine with lots of different pieces and components. So I encourage everyone to look at all aspects of, how they live, because they may miss something really important. And if they get it all together in one holistic package, then things work really well.
Absolutely. Many tools.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this conversation. I'm sure many people will.
Thank you so much, Sandy.
Bye-bye. I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and magnesium special offers at electromagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.